To dig deeper into all of this is GOP strategist and founder of Steinhauser Strategies, Brendan Steinhauser, and campaign aide to former Senator Mark Kirk, and founder of Arsenal Government and Public Affairs Group, Christpher Neiweem. Gentlemen, great to have you both. Thank you for being here. Brendan, I'd like to start with you. You know, as you know, this tariff back and forth, it isn't just about trade. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, recently saying this at a cabinet meeting. You know, we lived in a world where Chinese companies can do anything they want in America, but our companies can't do anything over there unless they allow it. And even then, they steal our stuff, reverse engineer it. So just reordering that has dramatic implications on peace and security in the world. So this is really about leveling the economic playing field. What's your reaction? And also, what do you think is the appropriate response from the U.S.?
Yeah, I think that I agree with the Secretary of State Rubio on this. Look, this is an economic issue, but it's also a national security issue. The thing that I'm most concerned about is China cornering the market on something like semiconductor chips, the very things that not only power our phones and our computers and other electronics, but think about advanced AI and where we're going in a few years on that. If we let the Chinese control that market, if we let them spy on American companies and develop advanced AI, we're going to be not only behind them, but they may develop something that has dangerous capabilities. And so I'm very concerned about this from an economic standpoint, certainly, but also from a national security standpoint. And there are a lot of big implications there on the fact that so many of these semiconductors are manufactured there in Taiwan, which China has its eyes set on at the moment.
Right. You know, Christopher, during his first administration, President Trump cut deals with China's president, who did not honor the deals that were made back then. Some analyzing this situation say we have to show China we're willing to box them out in order to have this country not only make promises, but keep them. What do you make of that analysis, as well as some who say these exemptions now fly in the face of that goal?
Well, absolutely, and Brendan's right as well. I mean, let's take a step back. You know, the purpose of tariffs is to bring in cash, protect domestic producers, and the third, which is achieve reciprocity in trade. But a more blunt way of putting that is pushing back on unfair trade practices. The Trump administration is already on that third step, which is realigning that relationship and showing China that we're serious and we're going to do different things. And historically, even President Jefferson, who would agree with where Democrats were now about being a little bit more wary of this, came around after 1812 and realized from a national security perspective, you have to get that financial policy in order. And with China being our #1 adversary, we have to make this happen. And they're already moving into the middle game with looking at these semiconductors and having exemptions. They know what they're doing. So that you know, with the midterms coming, watch where the buck stops with tariffs. And I think the administration is moving forward with their plan, and they need to stay the course on these tariffs and keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, the timeline, again, it's going to be big in all of this. We hear that. Brendan, when we talk about strategy, a lot of financial experts looking at this say China's economy, it's in rough shape. It would be in a world of hurt without the American consumer. The president continues to say his phones are ringing off the hook with other countries looking to make deals. When do you think we might see some of these deals announced, and how do you see those announcements potentially impacting this ongoing back and forth with China?
Yeah, it's hard to predict when the deals might be announced, but I think the president wants to make sure that the Chinese kind of feel the pain, that he's not going to back down. He's going to call their bluff. He knows that we're in a position of strength, and I think he's going to act in such a way that shows them, hey, you need us more than we need you. We can certainly cut deals with other countries in Asia and in Latin America and perhaps even in Africa to manufacture goods, to cut deals with them, to be able to get the consumer products that we need around the world. And we, are kind of tired of China having so much leverage over our country. Again, it's not just about economics. It's about national security. It's about the fact that we are strategic adversaries at the moment, and no one in the United States wants to get into a conflict with China. But there are certainly people in China that want to overtake the United States and are looking to get into a conflict with either us or certainly to take over Taiwan. And so I think the president has to show strength. He understands that Xi Jinping and the CCP only understand one language, and that is the language of strength.
Yeah. And while some may support that initiative and these goals, Christopher, this is a tough landscape right now for small businesses, general consumers in America to operate in. What do you make of the rollout, the messaging from the White House? And we keep hearing, this is short term, but that certainly does leave room for interpretation here.
Oh, absolutely. Small business owners, and I'm one of them. I don't think there's ever been a better time for S corps and for small business owners to earn money and to stay focused on what's going on. For those of us that have had the privilege of negotiating business agreements in China, as I have, they lie a lot. And President Trump, I mean, I would encourage anyone to read Art of the Deal. You know, decades ago, he's understood how these countries operate, and you have to be tough, and you have to look at the end game and take nothing for granted and get to that best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Rarely does one party get everything they want or the other, but he understands how this works, and it also pushes back on dumping and these other practices or foreign subsidies where there's all these side deals going on. President Trump has said it. We're not going to be the piggy bank anymore, and that's been the purpose of this. I think they're in the middle game, and I think we will see more announcements shortly. But I really think the administration Trump 2.0 is on the right track. Stay the course with these tariffs, and we're going to end up in better economic shape and how we do business internationally going forward. We're not being ripped off anymore. We're looking to the future of elevating ourselves in our relationship with China.
Yeah, short term, a lot of people are feeling the burn. There'll be a lot of eyes on these talks next week. Brendan, Christopher, thank you both for joining us.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.